What happens when you add electronic fuel injection and boost to a classic GM inline six? Wow! Holy cow! Hey everybody, for today's show, we're going to be in the dyno room for the entire time. Pat and I are working on an engine that has had an extremely large following, dating back all the way to the early 1960s. Now, it's an engine that was used as a workhorse in cars, trucks, and even delivery vehicles that drop off your mail order packages, like the UPS box truck.
It's a General Motors 292 cubic inch inline six banger that we put together for the guys over in Truck Tech, and it is going in their 1965 C10 project that they named Low and Slow. We honed it here on our Sun SV15, did some head work on our MSC industrial machinery, then took it to Shacklet Auto Machine to do a valve job. It was assembled using parts from Summit Racing, Trend Performance, 12bolt.com, and Comp Cams. We had some fun with LT and Austin on the dyno. Here's how that went down.
Yeah, that's where it starts to sound good.
It sounds like an airplane.
Awesome oil pressure, everything. Let's see what we got.
You guys will hate me for saying this, but that almost sounds like a Skyline motor.
You shut your trap.
Wow. So these came from the factory with like what, 165, right? I think somewhere
Yeah,
in there?
160, 165 is what we looked up, you know. All right, all the vitals, everything looks good. You guys got to rock, paper, and scissor it for the first one to the console.
All right.
I'm out. Okay, I never done this before. Mike, come back.
Yeah, this thing, you don't even have to get the gas pedal. Hit the, just hit starter. Watch what happens. No, you got to hold it. Holy.
Thought it was like a, there you go.
The most important thing on this is oil pressure. Obviously, you want it, if that goes down at any point, you abort the pull.
What I want to hit on here.
Okay,
When
now.
you go to full throttle and you see the RPM stabilize at 2 grand, you hit D, and that starts your sweep. When it gets up to the 5,000, you'll hear the brake pull the engine down. Just pull out of it. That's all you got to do.
Keep going, keep going, keep going. All the way open. Okay, D. Hold on to it. Now watch this. Don't worry about anything else.
Just that.
There.
From small 4-bangers to big-inch race engines, turbocharging is an easy way to make efficient and very impressive horsepower. Now, our task today is to outfit that 292 with this turbo system that LT and Austin designed for their project. It has a cast iron turbine housing with a 3-inch V-band outlet, and the turbo has a 0.88 AR ratio. The rest of the system was designed to be simple and straightforward, eliminating the need to constantly work on it to keep it on the road. It's a driver, not a race rod. With that being said, other components include an air-to-air intercooler, precision wastegate, turbo smart blow-off, and several clamps, pipes, and components to wrap up the plumbing.
One of the main changes that will be happening from the naturally aspirated to the turbo setup is that the carburetor will be going away. We've opted to run one of these new EFI setups that Holley has been developing. This is the Sniper EFI XFlow. It's a self-learning system that can be used on a naturally aspirated setup, but also on a blow-through or draw-through situation, like either a supercharger or turbo setup. It contains 4 120 pound-per-hour injectors, and that will support up to 800 horsepower. They even make a different version that has 8 injectors that will support up to 1,375 horsepower if that's what you require. We ordered ours in this black ceramic finish to match our engine's color scheme. It's easy to see on the XFlow the smooth transition into the throttle bores, which improves airflow and fuel atomization over the standard Sniper, which is rated at 650 horsepower.
Up next, the guys from Truck Tech pay us a visit, and they brought their custom-built setup for the turbo's cold side. Plus, the latest technology to monitor your engine's vitals. Power Nation is brought to you by Rock Auto.
We're back getting this 292 cubic inch straight Chevy 6 ready for some turbo installation.
LT did a great job fabricating the hot side for both the NA runs and the turbo install. All we have to do is remove the short section of pipe and the turbo has a place to mount. A gasket seals the exhaust housing of the turbo to the exhaust flange. Now the oil drain line is attached to the turbo and ran to the fitting I welded onto the oil pan.
Nice going.
The turbo needs oil lubrication from the engine, so this pressure line will go from the oil gallery on the block to the inlet fitting on the turbo. It uses a small inline restrictor, so oil does not bypass the turbo seal. Summit Racing carries everything you need for a turbo build, including precision wastegates like this 46mm one that has a cast stainless steel body and an aluminum top cap.
Directing the exhaust away from the turbo is a V-banded pipe that will also house the wideband O2 sensor.
Looks like you got some shininess on the cart.
Got our cold side ready for install, baby.
Tell you what, there's a lot of hours of care that somebody took to build all this stuff, and I'm excited to see how it's all going to work together. Honestly, like, you guys have no idea how excited I really am.
Are you wanting us to tell you how good of a job you did on it?
No,
or-
I'm just like, this is seeing like your child being born or something like that. And I mean,
All right, I'll take your word for that. So here's where we are right now. Oil is plumbed to it, the drain is done, downpipe is on, O2s are in. This thing is basically ready for a boost. Now, all that stuff, I'm glad you're in here because you did such a nice job on the truck. I don't want to mess any of it up because it looks too pretty.
all right, well, let's get it installed and make some noises.
For sure.
I'll leave you to it.
Want to do the carb hat?
See how this thing sounds. It's no accident that these parts are installing so easily. And that's because we took the time earlier to design and fabricate the system with the engine still in the truck. All the tubing is routed around obstacles such as the firewall, inner fenders, core support, and grille, requiring very minimal modification to the truck.
The hot side of the turbo kit is made from stainless steel, and the cold side is made from aluminum. And the whole thing fits perfectly under the hood of our 1965 patinaed C10. It's always a great idea to have an intercooler anytime you're pressurizing air with a turbo because, well, that heats the air up and we want to cool it back down so it has the most capacity to make more power. Colder air is denser. Now, you might look at this and think, well, it's not a very large intercooler, and you'd be correct. But there's two reasons that kind of work in our favor. Number one, we're not going to be pushing this turbo very hard, so it's not going to be generating a ton of heat. And the second reason, well, that's just space. We don't have a ton of room behind the grill and in front of the radiator on our C10 that this 292 is going in, so that's just a fact of life. This is what we have to work with.
We also installed the Turbo Smart Race Port blow-off valve, which when a gas motor, when you let off the accelerator, that throttle plate is going to close, and well, it just relieves that extra boost. That way you're not stalling out that turbo.
Austin and LT just wrapped up installing the cold side on their 292, and I gotta say, it looks pretty impressive. Now it's our turn to go ahead and put in all of our new notes for the turbo system and get the dyno all up and running so we can make some pulls. And before we do that, Pat's got something to tell you about in the dyno room.
Having the Sniper XFlow EFI run on a naturally aspirated versus a turbo is simply telling it what it's on. If you go into the initial setup wizard, you can actually choose turbocharger, nitrous oxide, supercharger, or from naturally aspirated, and that tells the unit what it's on. Now, that will give you a couple of options of retarding your timing per boost level and also adjusting your air-fuel ratios for boost level. It's pretty slick.
Up next, the turbocharged inline 6 struts its stuff in the dyno cell.
All right, LT and Austin are wrapped up and it looks really good. Now it's our turn to make some noise, as LT would say. Now they had to run out and go do something else, so we're gonna continue with the dyno pulls. Now right now we have the natural and the red spring in the wastegate for a total of 7.5 PSI of boost. Pat's gonna go ahead and make the pull and see how this thing ends up.
Ready?
I am.
How nice that thing starts.
Start up.
All right.
Sounds like my old bass boat.
2,000 to 4,500. I have the rev limiter at 4,500 because I have no idea. I don't want it to overboost. It does something weird. You know how that goes.
I agree with you 100%. Look who's going to be driving the truck.
Yeah. All right.
The Burnout Kings.
Here goes.
Ooh, the boost.
Hit the rev limiter.
Man, nice pull.
Holy smokes. I've never done anything quite like that before. Look at that.
Man, that's not bad. That's not bad. 316.
429 pound-feet of torque at 3,500. What did this thing make for torque before? It made 280 something?
Yeah, like 282. Wow. Whoa.
Okay.
Only on 7.5 pounds.
I know.
That's a good start.
It is. Now, keep in mind, this engine has parts in it designed to make 160 horse.
Yeah.
So we have a cast crank. We do have studs in it, in the mains.
Stock rod.
But a stock
A
rod.
little bit of an upgraded piston.
Supposed to make another one and back it up.
Yeah.
But that's incredible. I was actually a little nervous on that one. I don't get nervous.
Here comes the boost.
That is unbelievable.
3.5 pounds on load up. That's nice.
I should probably raise the rev limiter. I don't want to rev this thing.
It doesn't need to go any
It doesn't
higher.
need to
It's
go any
dropping
higher.
off. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's not bad. It's the same thing. 312, 426, got a little heat in it.
Yep.
Now the injection's still got to be, has to go through learn and everything.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah. Yeah, and that was the first pull with the boost on it. Now, something else that's pretty impressive with that 312 and that 426 number is we have room to put some more spring into it.
Yeah, no, I low and slow is kind of a misnomer,
Yeah.
right? Because it's not going to be very slow. And they said, well, we don't want a whole lot of power, and now we're cranking, double the power to an engine that's designed for, for half of it.
And the intercooler's working. I mean, it
The
shows
intercooler's
right there with the
definitely
back-to-back pull, so that's nice.
Okay, so what do we want to do with spring?
I don't think we need to make a big jump like LT wants to. He wants to go up to like 14 pounds. I don't think that's the right thing to do. I say we add 3 pounds to it. We go with the natural and the green spring. That'll go from 7.5 to 10.5. That's a 3-pound increase.
I'll buy that.
All right.
Yeah,
Teamwork.
makes the dream work.
All right. I gotta say it again. It's like 10.5 pounds of boost on a 6-cylinder full of fury.
We're gonna see
This
what
is either
happens.
gonna be really good
or a really bad idea.
or a really bad idea.
Whoa! It made over 500 pound-feet of torque.
I think it did. Wow! Holy cow!
510. Now I kind of ramped it in there. 376 horsepower.
Yeah. I'm not putting any more spring in it.
Nope, 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 nope.
There's no way.
I know we can, with 15 PSI, it'll crack 400. Do we want?
No, our whole thing was with this thing was our goal was torque.
Right.
From the beginning. Not
Right.
just our goal, but the guys next door. They just wanted something that had a lot of torque. I don't think a 400 horsepower is a goal we need to go after. You're
Okay, well,
26 numbers away from it. You're making so much torque right now. You are concerned about the block.
I am definitely concerned about the block. Okay, so let's figure this out real quick, just for scientific purposes, right? Let's say, so we have basically essentially 509 pound-feet of torque. You divide that by 6 cylinders, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's 84.8. Now, if this was a V8 making the same thing, that thing making 678 pound-feet of torque. I don't want to push this
I'm
anymore.
happy.
I'm definitely happy. Man, this is a win. This is absolutely a win.
Good
Nice
job.
Up next, advanced tech to keep track of your engine's performance. Power Nation is brought to you by Rock Auto.
These days, technology is advancing at an amazing rate. From electric cars to rockets that can land their own boosters on small landing pads, we are witnessing history on a daily basis. Now, the same can be said for the automotive industry when it comes to operating systems for engines, transmissions, and all the other bells and whistles that get powered up when you fire up your ride.
In the performance aftermarket, the technology is the same. Advancements are made every day so engines run better, and controlling systems like nitrous and turbos is now more accurate and responsive. Monitoring an engine's vitals is also critical, so today we're going to highlight monitoring air-fuel ratio, because if the air-fuel ratio is too lean, you are going to burn something up, and also if it's too rich, the engine just won't run right.
To monitor air-fuel ratio, you need a wideband O2 controller like we use back on the Dyno. Now the problem is they can be a little bulky due to the amount of wiring involved, especially if you run a dual unit to monitor both banks of the engine. For you guys with power adders, high revving NA bullets, motorcycles, or anything else with an internal combustion engine that want to monitor your air-fuel ratio in a compact and high-tech way, check this out.
We're here with Jared and Tim from Performance Electronics, and they brought a table full of products for us to look at, from ECUs to dashes and this Trick O2 sensor. Tell us a little bit how the company was started.
It started back in 1999, a couple collegiate buddies and then one of their professors. Everything is proudly produced, manufactured in Cincinnati, Ohio. We're proud to be made in the USA.
Now, did it all start off in the automotive scene, or was it all like power sports, or?
So our first couple projects were actually industrial-based products for diesel water pumps. And then that quickly transitioned into the performance aftermarkets, automobile, dirt racing.
Man, that's pretty cool. So you're in some pretty extreme environments, so these have to be able to take some pretty good abuse.
All of our products are exposed to extreme vibration testing as well as cold and heat testing. And with all of that, we're able to design a product that'll just withstand the elements and continue to work year after year.
Now, there's a lot of different ECUs and things up on the table. Go through and just tell us a little bit about each one and what they control.
So we have our ignition-only controller you'll see over there. So that's capabilities of controlling a four-cylinder engine ignition side only. Really popular applications for four-cylinder motorcycle engines. All the way up to our big ECU, the 8400, that is capable of sequential fuel and ignition control for V8 engines.
Now, you say big, but the actual size of this ECU is really small and compact. That makes it easy to mount and wire and everything else, get it in a nice tuck spot.
Correct, and as we all know in the racing world, ounces make pounds, so keeping everything small and easily tuck-awayable, if you will, and lightweight makes for a good product. And all of our ECUs come with data logging and standard Windows-based tuning software.
Tim, tell me a little bit about the dashes that you brought.
So our dash is a touchscreen dash. It's able to display up to 8 lines of information. It has multiple warnings that you have on each individual display. In addition to that, you also have full screen warnings or full screen alarms. The nice thing is that it not only works with our ECUs, but it does work with a lot of the other ECUs on the market that have a CAN output.
Well, that's pretty good. Price point on your dash?
So our PE dash is $395.
Wow.
Pretty great for a touchscreen dash.
That's impressive.
Now, a big part of this is customer support, and you guys sound like you got that dialed in.
Absolutely. When you call up Performance Electronics and you need help with any of your ECUs, I know that you're going to get either me or Jared on the phone. We want to work with our customers to make sure that at the end of the day they're happy with, with their product, and also that they have a great running vehicle.
Something you guys have been working really hard on and brought it down is your wideband O2 controller. Tell us about that and how that all came about.
So our wideband O2 controller is something that we wanted to develop for people for an easy application, easy installation. The nice thing is that you're able to connect it with just 2 wires, power and ground. And the hardest thing that you have to do is really weld in the bung for the O2 sensor. It's great for the type of person that has a classic car or a hot rod and they don't want to mess up their dash with a gauge.
Cool, well let's get to it and see how it works.
I love it.
I think this is going to be one of the easiest things we've ever installed in here.
Oh, it's real easy.
We will mount the unit to the Dyno chassis, then connect a ground and a switch 12-volt source. Screw the wideband sensor into the exhaust bung and power it up. There it went, it's heated up.
The sensor heats up in just a few seconds. Then the unit is ready to pair with a smartphone. Once paired, your air-fuel ratio is at your fingertips.
So on the main screen here, you have an adjustable target ratio line. So as you're tuning, you can move this line to help you better equate where you are on your air-fuel ratio to where your target is. If you prefer lambda over air-fuel ratio, you can quickly change that to view your lambda values. Here, and you can adjust your common fuel types. Most common is your gasoline 14.7 to 1, but let's say you're running E85, you could also select E85, and then I would adjust all your gauges and plots accordingly.
Both sensors are reading the driver's side exhaust, and they are both monitoring at the same air-fuel ratio, which shows how accurate the performance electronics unit is. Well, that's about the slickest thing that we've had in here in a while, and it's not only just for V8 stuff, you can use it on anything.
Absolutely. Anything with an engine, as long as you have a close power and ground source, you'll be up and connected and reading air-fuel ratios in no time.
Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be mounted inside the car. It can even go in the engine compartment.
Correct. With the compact size and the nylon construction, it's extremely resilient to the heat. And for those of you that want a cleaner install where it can't be seen, we offer a 6-foot extension cable, so you could mount that up on the dash or firewall inside the car if you wanted.
Very nice. I guess final question, where can people get them?
You could visit the website at pe-ltd.com.
Thanks for coming by, guys. Great product.
We're keeping that one.
We're going to keep this one. Is that okay?
Yeah, and I'll give you a couple more just for fun.
All right. We appreciate that, man. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
For more information about the parts and equipment used in today's episode, visit PowerNationTV.com.